Hello guys, welcome to the next video on Node.js tutorial for beginners. In this video, I'm going to show you how we can use streams in Node.js. Specifically, we will talk about readable stream in this video. And in the next video, we will talk about writable stream in Node.js. So let's get started. So first of all, what are streams? Streams are Unix pipe that lets you read data from a source and write data to a destination, right? So for example, you want to read a data from a very big file or from a source which has lots and lots of data, and because you are running a server, you don't want to block your server, right? So if you want to read this file, you may want to, or you would like to read this file in chunks or small portions, and once this portion is read, you want, or you can do something, right? And streams allows us to do the same. So streams allows us, for example, we want to read a big file. Streams allows us to read this file chunk by chunk, and it will also give the information that this chunk is read, and if a whole file is read or not, or we can do many events from this data, right? So let's see how we can use streams, specifically readable streams, right? So to use streams, we will use the fs module, and we have already seen how we can include this module in Node.js. Just use var fs is equal to require fs. Now we will create a variable called, for example, readable stream is equal to fs dot create read stream, and this takes argument which is the name of the source. So for example, I have this file whose name is file.txt, and it has relatively big data. So it has around 5,200 lines of data. I just copied random data from some source, and for example, I want to read this data, right? Now this file name here we will give as an argument, so just give file.txt because it's in the same directory, you can see here. And now we can use this variable read stream. Let's name it read stream instead of readable stream. Okay, so this read stream we can use to listen for some event. So basically, whenever you use create read stream, it inherits from event emitter, and we have already seen how to use event emitters in the previous videos. So it inherits from event emitter, so we can call the method which are present in event emitter class also. So we can trigger on event or emit method using this read stream. Now there is a predefined event in create read stream which is called data, okay, and which allows us to read our file in chunks. So just write read stream, and then we will just write on, which we are inheriting from event emitter, and we will listen for the event called data, and then we will just create an anonymous function here, and this anonymous function will read chunk of data. So just write chunk, and then we will just close our function. Okay, so in this variable, whenever this event is triggered, then this chunk will contain some chunk of data from this file, right? This chunk variable will be full, and then we will use this chunk of data from this file. Okay, so For example, what I want to do is I want to just console log this data. So I will just write console log chunk here. Okay, and one chunk of data is read, so we can just give a line kind of console log here, so we know that this is one chunk, okay, after this line, right? So let's see how it works. So I'm going to just open the terminal and run my app, and you can see there are few chunks which are read from this file. Okay, so you can see my first of all, this line is printed on the terminal because of this console log, and then we have the chunk of data, and then again this line again, and this chunk of data. So it's reading the data in chunks, and when all the file is read, then we have the output. But this is not familiar because this is reading in hex, right? We haven't defined what type of data we are reading. So you can see in the file.txt we have normal normal text, and it's reading in hex data, right? So how we can tell this function or method to read in readable text? You can guess. I think you can just write here the type, the second argument is utf-8 for example, and then just save it, and then we will run it again, and now you can see it's reading in the normal text. So you can see this line, and then the chunk of data which is read, and once again we will see when we will go a little bit up. So this is the next line, and whenever you will go up, you will see this kind of line. So now we are reading the normal text but in chunks again, right? So this event data will allow us to read the file, for example, in chunks, right? And whenever one chunk is read, you can do some logical stuff with this chunk of data, right? Now there is one another event called end, so you know that you have completed reading the file. So instead of data, whenever you use end, and let's, instead of this console log, we just say end here. Okay, and let's read the file again or execute the program again, and once this data is read, this line is printed, which is due to this triggering of event called end event. Okay, so once the file is read completely, this event will be triggered, and then this line will be printed, or whatever code you will write here will be printed. So for example, I will create a variable here called data, right? And what I want to do is I want to store all the text of the file in this variable, and once my data is read, or once my file is read, I want to print the content of this data. So instead of this, what I can do here is I can just write data plus equals chunk, something like this. So what it's going to do is it's going to concatenate this chunk into this data variable, right? And once all the file is read, I want to print it. So I will just do console log here, and I will print this data variable. So this essentially will contain all the file content. Okay, and let's just comment this code out because we don't need it, and let's run the program again. So program is running. So this time, once the data is read, then it's printed using this console log, because we are not printing using this. We have already commented out, right? So this time this line is printing this text, all the text. Okay, and once the text is printed, this line of code will execute and it will print end here, which is happening here. Okay, so this is how basically you can use readable streams in Node.js, right? Now there are many options related to read stream and write streams. So for example, one of the option we have set here, instead of setting the encoding from the second argument, there is a special method which you can use to set this encoding, which is the set encoding. So instead of this, you can even do this also, and the code will run fine. Okay, so let's run the code again, and it's going to run it normally. Okay, so just go to the Node.js documentation on its website, and you will find many useful functions and methods there which you can use in your code according to your requirement. This is just the introduction to streams, and specifically the readable streams. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and bye for now.